the upcoming 20th Congress, may mga tao naman dyan na alam ko na may ano sila may concern kahit papaano sa Pilipinas, and they are also not happy of what happened at dito sa deal na to. So nasa Senado yan. I really hope they will do their job, and also they will scrutinize these deals that we have at the moment with the United States. Kasi trabaho naman nila yan eh. Kaya nga sila nandyan, di ba? Pero dapat talaga gawin nilang trabaho nila. I would expect and I would hope so.
Mainit yung usapin kahit na inuulan po. Pero unahin lang muna natin itong naging resulta ng pagpunta ni Marcos Jr. Sa Amerika. Nabanggit pa nga dito ni with all of his many representatives. Binigyang diin pa dito na maraming mga dala-dala. No? Pero para sa kabatiran ng lahat, ang unang ipinataw o ipapataw sana ng Amerika ay 17%. Tapos umakyat ito ng 20%. Tapos ang resulta, 19% as per post nga nitong si US President Donald Trump. Ihambing natin sa Indonesia, galing sa 64%, tapos naging 32%, tapos nung nagkaroon ng deal, isang tawagan lang, hindi na pumunta ang presidente ng Indonesia sa Amerika. Patawa-tawa na lang siya, nag-contact, wala siyang with his many representative at gumastos ng malaki sa pamasahe. 19%, same sa atin. So 32% to 19%. Yung deal naman sa Vietnam from 90% to 46% hanggang naging 20%. So merong kaibahan, mga nasa double digit po yung halos kaibahan nitong Indonesia and Vietnam mula noong sila po ay nakipagnegosasyon. Tayo naman, nakadiscount tayo ng 1%. Ano masasabi nyo po dito, Prof? Kasi ang sabi ni Marcos Jr., significant naman kahit 1% lang yung ibinaba.
Sa akin kasi, I don't really agree na significant yung 1%. Kasi kung yun lang naman pag-uusapan natin as claimed by the President, edi sana doon na lang tayo sa 17%, di ba? Kasi from 23 points ang ibababa noon. So, kung significant yung 1, so kung akong tatanungin mo, doon na lang tayo sa una, 17%. Balik tayo doon. Mas mababa yun kaysa sa 20 at mas lalong mababa naman sa 19, di ba? So, yun yung sinasabi ko. Ang hirap kasi, parang para siyang, ang nangyari kasi ngayon, ang kanilang ginagawang tinatawag mong damage control is parang, magpasalamat na tayo na reduce kahit papano ng 1%. But I don't think that should be the case. And I really don't think also that the Philippines, even the Philippine government under Marcos Jr., would just accept these things just like that. Kasi ang problema dyan, hindi, dalawa kasi yan, just to explain a bit, no? Dalawa kasi ang aspeto na yan. Mayroon kang tariff na 19% ngayon na in-announce na ni President Trump, hindi natin mababago na yan, andyan na yan, unless na lang babawiin ni Marcos Jr. Sasabihin niya, ay sandali, President Trump, let me negotiate further. Pero I don't think gagawin niya yon. So, mayroon kang 19%, that would be the tariff imposed on our products going into the US market. That's one area. Kumbaga, that's one side. There is another side that is much more critical. Yung sinasabi mong open market. So, ibig sabihin, pag open market ka, yung exports ng mga, how do you call that, ng mga ng Amerikano, yung ng United States, will get into the Philippine market, zero tariff. That is both are very important. Pero kung titignan mo, critical din yung zero tariff na yan. Kasi bakit? Unang-una, you have to remember that between the Philippines and the United States, we are not at par with the United States, really, in terms of competitiveness, may it be in products, in terms of technology, even in terms of economy. They are a superpower even in the field of even in the area of economics or economy. Malakas sila kaysa sa atin. Kapantay nila ang mga countries tulad ng China, and we are not at par with this country. So napakalaki ng imbalance kung titignan mo. So sa akin, malaki ang impact ng zero or open markets kasi ang unang tatamaan diyan kung lateral yan or wala Kaya nga may panawagan ngayon. Kasi ang sinasabi nga ng panawagan ngayon, dapat maging transparent ang gobyerno. Ang gobyerno, talagang i-explain nila at ilatag nila ang listahan na subjected to zero tariff. Para alam na, kasi kailangan yun eh. Kasi pag sinabi mong zero tariff, maapektuhan ang local industries mo. At ang pinakamahalagang local industry sa Pilipinas na pwedeng maapektuhan really significantly sa zero tariff, sa open market na yan, na zero tariff, liberalization to eh. Ito yung konsepto ng liberalization na open, liberal policy. Kaya nga nakakatawa, by the way ha, MJ, liberal policy on our side, ini-impose ng Amerika, pero on their side, they're very protectionist by imposing 19% tariff on our side. So going back to what I'm saying, na ang listahan, kasi para makita natin, ano ang mga prospective na mga products, ng mga industriya ng Pilipinas maaapektuhan sa zero tariff and open market na to. Kasi ang unang tatamaan dyan talaga is, kasi may tinatawag kang 6 A's. Una, agriculture, AI. AI is related to technology and even manufacturing. Kapag pumasok kasi ang mga produkto ng United States na zero tariff, of course, they are competitive in terms of quality. Of course, kasi galing yan sa isang superpower na bansa. Mauungusan nila ang ating local products na ang production cost natin sa Pilipinas mataas, even agriculture. So kung titignan mo sa market, malulugi ang ating industriya. Ang bibilihin of course ng mga tao, yung mababa yung presyo pero mataas ang quality. And definitely we cannot compete with the United States when you talk about these things. So medyo dihado talaga ang Pilipinas, napaka-lopsided ng agreement na ito. Doon pa lang tayo nag-uusap ngayon sa open market ha, yung tinatawag ng zero tariffs. Kaya nga importante, katulad ng DTI, since sila naman ang in charge dito, this is trade, ilatag nila ano ang listahan ng mga produkto na masasubject dyan sa open market as early as now, so that those industries, local industries na mayroon tayo, alam nila kung tatamaan sila dahil papasok ang mga produktong ito na mas mababang presyo, mas mataas ang kalidad. Kasi sa atin, to be very frank, even in agriculture, production cost is very high. So yun eh. Kaya, tapos ito pa ang nakakaano doon, with this zero tariff at tinatawag mong open market, we actually give away what you call most favored nation strategic leverage ng isang developing country against a superpower or a major economy like the United States. Kaya ka nga sa WTO may tinatawag kang most favored nation precisely because ito yung tumutulong sa Pilipinas or sa isang developing economy na mabalanse mo yung tinatawag mong liberalization ng trade. Kasi hindi ka talaga hindi mo kaya talaga mag-compete with other countries, lalo na tulad ng United States when you talk about trade. Kasi mas malakas sila eh, mas competitive talaga sila. So meron kang MFN, or may i-impose ka ng tariff bilang isang developing economy precisely because gusto mong protektahan ang local economy mo hanggang dumating yung oras na yung local economy mo, especially yung mga industries mo like agriculture, manufacturing, and other industries will be more competitive and at par with the international market and with other countries like the United States. Pero kung hindi pa siya nandun sa status na yun, which is ang Pilipinas hindi nandun, poprotektahan mo siya to a certain extent, you follow the MFN based on WTO rules. Kasi nasa WTO rules and the United States and the Philippines is part of WTO. So yung World Trade Organization. So ganito ang nangyari. But with this deal, on the open market side, parang nilet go natin ang ating tinatawag na most favored nation. Kasi wala zero open market. On the other hand naman, yung tinatawag mong 19% na tariff, it will impact our economy pa rin. Kasi bakit? Kasi una, we really have to open our minds to the fact na when you talk about international trade, ang ibig sabihin niyan, like the Philippines, you export products to the United States. That doesn't mean na ikaw lang ang nag-e-export sa kanila ng isang produkto. You export and at the same time, you compete with the rest of the world, especially with our, let us say, ASEAN counterparts. Kasi yung mga produkto na in-export natin, hindi lang tayo nagpo-produce noon. Maraming countries sa bansa ang nagpo-produce noon. So when you get into the market, our products get into the market, we compete. And we need to be competitive. And one way to make it competitive is to lower the price of our goods entering into another market, especially major economies like China or let us say, ngayon, United States. However, kung i-impose yan ng tariff na 19%, ibig sabihin, tataas ang presyo ng goods natin na papasok sa United States market, sa US market. No, pag tumaas siya, bababa ang tinatawag mong competitiveness natin kasi you have other products coming from other countries like for example, let us say Japan, let us say Vietnam na do mas mataas ng 1% ang tariff kay Vietnam. Pag kinompare mo ang produkto kung sino ang mas competitive, baka naman matalo tayo sa competitiveness in terms of quality ng produkto. Kasi ganun yun eh. So, ito yung problema ng 19% tariff and it will impact, of course, the revenue of the Philippines when you talk about exports, and at the same time, it will impact our competitiveness, it will impact our manufacturing industry, it will impact our how do you call that, GDP to a greater extent. So, pag sinama-sama mo itong dalawang side na ito, open market and the 19% imposition of tariff on our goods, pag pinagsama mo yan, makikita mo talaga na ang nangyaring parang it was an economic disaster as far as the Philippines is concerned, as far as trade is concerned. So kaya maraming nagsasabi na parang failure yung nangyari or lopsided yung agreement. Ang ano lang naman doon kasi din sa Philippine government, yung team natin, actually, yun nga ang hindi ko maintindihan kasi even then, kahit sinabi ni Trump na okay, we'll impose yung 19%, you can still negotiate lower. Kasi look at what happened to Indonesia. Indonesia, from very, very high tariff, bumaba yan, nag-negotiate pa rin sila hanggang umabot yan ng 20. Hindi sila nag-give up on the middle na hindi sila satisfied na kaya na namin ang 20% tariff. Hindi na namin may bababa to. Pero they make negotiation and negotiation and negotiation. At hindi sila bumigay ng ganun-ganun lang. Yun ang hindi ko rin maintindihan. Why did, our side, bigla na lang, okay, yun ang sabi ni Trump eh. Kasi in-interview si President Marcos, sabi niya, nang pumunta sila, ni-negotiate niya, pero yun talagang sinabi, 19%, so wala nang magawa. Parang ganun, no. You have to fight for this kind of things kasi ang nakalaan dito is ang kinabukasan ng bayan mo, ang economic welfare ng bayan mo at ng mga Pilipino na kapag hindi mo siya mahawakan or hindi mo siya maipaglaban up to the last extent, kawawa tayong lahat at kawawa ang Pilipinas talaga in the long run. Hindi lang to ngayon, in the long run. Unless na lang there will be a change of government, there will be a change of government in the United States in the next 3 years, tapos magbabago sila ng policy. And if we have a change of leadership, the next leadership will actually negotiate. Pero hindi pa, 3 years pa ang bubunuin natin before that happens. If in any case, it will happen. So yun yung mga bagay na dapat isipin natin. Kasi may ibang tao na sinasabi nila, okay lang, 19%, it's okay. Okay lang, mayroon akong mga nababasang comment din sa ibang social media outlets na sinasabi, okay lang yan. At least, di ba, mumura na ang mga American goods. Like, for example, itong spam, itong ganito. So, ang imported goods, mura na. So, okay yan sa mga consumers. No, it's not like that. That's just one side of the story. What you need to understand is how it impacts our economy, our industry, agriculture, manufacturing, and others na makikripol lang ating ekonomiya, makikripol lang ating industrial development or economic development and national development in the long run, even the medium term. So yun yung dapat isipin natin. So dapat hindi binigay dapat kasi at 19, sinabi na lang sana ni Marcos Jr., doon na lang kami sa 17. Kasi in a way, binigyan nyo kami ng 17. Ngayon, 19. Doon kami sa 17. Kung yun lang naman ang pag-uusapan, di ba? Kasi ang Japan, 15%. Ang Vietnam, 20%. Actually, ang Indonesia is 19%. So, alam mo yon. So, bakit ang feeling ko kasi bakit parang binigay lang ng ganon. Parang ganon ang feeling ko eh. Tapos on the other hand, yan ay ang ano lang natin ang pinag-uusapan lang natin dito, MJ and Admar, is on the side of the trade deal. Wala pa yan yung military and actually defense side, which is mas nakakatakot yun kasi defense and military yun. At dun sa mga nabasa kong reports is parang inamin ni Marcos Jr. na may deployment nga ng Typhoon missile system sa Pilipinas, which is, I was like, oh my God. The second one, I think, is baka tuloy na nga siguro itong tinatawag mong ammunition factory in the Philippines, which Trump was saying pa na, oh, ayaw mo ba nun ang Pilipinas at saka ang United States may pinakamaraming ammunition sa mundo dahil magtatayo kami dyan ng ammunition factory. Is it a good news for the Philippines, really? Is it what we need in the country at the moment? So yun yung mga tanong na para bang, sandali muna mga kababayan, isipin yung mabuti kung anong implication ng mga to, hindi lang ngayon, hindi lang sa panahon ni Marcos Jr., even long term. Kasi dapat kasi tayo nag-iisip na ngayon at saka yung long term, anong mangyayari bukas, ang kinabukasan natin. Yun eh. So, yun yung masasabi ko initially on this issue. At saka, mayroon pa dyan eh, ang ano ko nga dito, kung transparency ang pag-uusapan, sana yung listahan ng mga produkto na subjected to this open market o zero tariff, ilabas din nila para transparent ang gobyerno. On the other hand, sana, hindi ko alam ngayon wala pa yung document, so sana mayroon din tayong nakuhang tinatawag mong, well, hindi na nga, wala na nga itong preferential access for the Philippine agricultural and industrial export kasi zero tariff na nga tayo. Pero in terms of investment sa domestic economy natin, may makukuha ba tayo may makukuha ka ba sa United States? Mayroon ba tayong mga tinatawag mong papasok na mga investment from the United States that would actually help our economy and generate more economic activities and more revenue? Mayroon ba? May mangyayari bang technology transfer? Kasi trade deal to eh. Hindi lang tariff ang pinag-uusapan dito. Pinag-uusapan din dito kung anong makukuha mo sa kanila given na may exchanges kang binigay or may concession ka nang binigay na sobra-sobra na. Pero you need to get something. So hindi ko rin alam kung magkakaroon tayo ng kung mayroon nga bang mga pledges coming from the United States, mangyayari ba yan na may investment sila? Hindi bala ang sinasabi ko dito, hindi defense and military na investment, kundi dito sa ekonomiya in terms of industrial investment. And on the other hand, mayroon bang technology transfer? Or ang mangyayari ba sa Pilipinas ay magiging ano lang tayo? Babalik tayo sa panahon ng colonialism na ang Pilipinas ay ang nangyari kasi ng colonialism under the United States, if we will go back to our history as a country, and during that time, ang nangyari sa Pilipinas, ine-extract ang raw materials, pina-process sa kanila, pagkatapos i-process sa kanila, they will produce it, they will transform it into goods, and then ibabalik sa Pilipinas para bilhin natin. Pero, ang bayad nila sa extraction of raw materials is mababa, pero pag binenta na sa atin, mataas ang presyo and they gain more revenue. So ginawa tayong market talaga, and then extraction ang ginawa nila. Would it be the same at this time in this 21st century? Kasi kung titignan mo talaga ang trajectory natin with our relationship with the United States, even both militarily and economically speaking, ganun talaga. Kasi during that time, after the colonial period where the outpost of the United States militarily in the Asia-Pacific. And until now, it never changed. It's still there. So, mas lalo pa nilang iniigtingan ang militarizasyon sa Pilipinas. Nandyan naman yan, very obvious. Si Marcos Jr. pa ang nagsabi, di ba? Dinipensahan niya ang deployment ng Typhoon missile system sa Pilipinas, ang EDGA bases and all that. So ang tanong dito sa ekonomiya, would we experience the same thing as before during the colonial time na tayo ay extractive sila, gagawin tayong market ng lahat ng produkto nila at bibilhin natin yan kasi yun ang dictate nila. Ganun ba ang mangyayari sa Pilipinas given all of this, new development when you talk about Philippine-United States deal in terms of trade, economics, and at the same time, geopolitics na isang medyo dangerous na part ng relationship natin with the United States, actually, yung military and defense. Yeah.
Po, ma'am, sa tingin, si MJ po ito, ma'am, tingin po ninyo, ang kasunduan ay sa ngayon, more political than binding kasi alam mo naman, ma'am, dadaan pa sa nitty-gritty yung mga ganyang negosasyon at binabanggit po ng mga political pundits na itong mga ganitong kasunduan usually dadaan raw po pala sa detailed negotiations and legislative approval. Ma'am.
Well, sa akin kasi ganito, may negotiation bang nangyari talaga? Mayroon nga ba? Yun yung tanong mo. Or is it an economic capitulation? Or wala na, ano na lang yan eh. Parang ano na lang nangyari sa bisita ang travel ni Marcos Jr. sa Amerika, it was just a photo ops? Parang ganun ba? Yun ang tanong na malaki. Kung mayroon nga bang negotiation na nangyari. Pangalawa, yes, probably the details of it, the specific, the details, the specific things, maybe will be teased out, but I'm not sure if it will be negotiated further. Kasi if you really look at Trump and the way Trump spoke about these things, parang ano na siya eh, it's like cast in stone eh. Kasi ang problema nga, when President Marcos was interviewed, sinasabi niya, ang tanong sa kanya, Sir, 19%, paano hindi ba ito mababago or maninegotiate? Anong tingin nyo? Anong sabi ni Marcos Jr.? It's the United States kasi, sa kanila yan. So, yun ang kanyang sagot eh. So, ibig sabihin, kung United States, ganun na. So, do you really think it's further maninegotiate pa siya further, all of these things in the nitty-gritty? Yun yung tanong ko rin, actually. Pero when you talk about the legislative side, like for example, the Senate, well, I really hope the Senate will work on this and I really hope they will get to the bottom of everything. And also, I hope that the Senate will tease out all of these things na mayroon. Kasi siguro naman ang mga senador, di ba, bibigyan naman sila ng kopya kung ano yung agreement at mga napag-usapan doon in terms of, in written form at madadissect nila yan at makikita nila. Siguro naman may oversight function ng Senado. Kung, 'di ba? Para tignan ito, i-discuss ito at siguro naman they can actually articulate kung ano yung maganda for the Philippines, anong hindi. I think the Senate can actually be like an arbiter or di kaya pwede mag-intervene on these matters. Kasi meron naman silang capacity to do that. And I think naman in the Senate, especially the upcoming 20th Congress, may mga tao naman dyan na alam ko na may sila may concern kahit papano sa Pilipinas, and they are also not happy of what happened at dito sa deal na to. So nasa Senado yan. I really hope they will do their job and also they will scrutinize these deals that we have at the moment with the United States. Kasi trabaho naman nila yan eh. Kaya nga sila nandyan, di ba? Pero dapat talaga gawin nilang trabaho nila. I would expect and I would hope so.